welcome to Midday News on Ogun State Television. I am Olayemi Takuro. The Ogun State government has begun preparations for the 50th anniversary of the creation of the state, with plans to celebrate 5 decades of growth, resilience and development. The Golden Jubilee celebration is expected to highlight landmark achievements across governance, infrastructure and human capital development, while also projecting Ogun State's future aspirations. Head of Service of Ogun State, Kehinde Onosoya, and Chief of Staff of Governor, Dr. Tony Taiwo, spoke on the expectations and significance of the anniversary. The Head of Service says the Ogun State Civil Service, based on a culture of excellence and high professional standards, has continued to set the pace among civil services in Nigeria since the creation of the state.
Prince Abeokuta aptly captured the whole excess. He expressed gratitude to civil servants and to the entire citizenry for their cooperation. And he also enunciated the various achievements recorded in various sectors. Agric, ease of doing business.
The Chief of Staff on his part stressed the past 6 years have been dedicated to repositioning Ogun State for sustainable growth, driven by a team of experienced and forward-thinking professionals assembled by the governor. He added that the anniversary will provide an opportunity to showcase various legacy projects that reflect the administration's commitment to development and good governance.
The year that we're going to clock, 50 years in Ogun State, which is also a year that we'll be celebrating the 50th golden year in Ogun State. And then we've got many, legacies that we can celebrate and we can say thus far the Lord has helped us in Ogun State. You understand? So we'll be celebrating it, the year that we thank God for all that He's going to do and what He is doing through each and every one of us. So we sincerely want to appreciate all the good people of Ogun State individually, as a state and as a nation, that the Lord has helped us thus far can see us through and is going to see us through in this year 2026. And my wish for the people of Ogun State is that we have been very patient, so we have so much belief in the vision of His Excellency. Let's keep believing in that vision.
Commend Governor Dr. Abeokuta for his leadership and urge residents to continue to support the government as the state marks its 50th anniversary. Gratitude and reflection mark the beginning of activities for the year 2026 as the Chief of Staff to Ogun State Governor Dr. Tony Taiwo led staff of the Governor's office in prayers and thanksgiving while charging them to be bold in the discharge of their duties. The prayer session brought together civil servants and political appointees who expressed gratitude to God for the successful completion of 2025 and reaffirmed their commitment to discipline, dedicated and selfless service in the new year. Margaret Okunola reports from the Olusegun Oshoba Press Center, Ukemoso, Abeokuta.
In gratitude to God for life, protection and a successful year, staff of the Ogun State Governor's Office gathered to pray and commit the year 2026 into God's hands. The prayer and thanksgiving session drew civil servants, political appointees and staff from various departments as they appreciate God for the achievements of 2025 and seek divine guidance for the year ahead. The Chief of Staff to the Ogun State Governor, Dr. Tony Taiwo, describes the meeting as timely and significant, stressing the need for staff to realign, reflect and recalibrate as they step into the new year.
The government started well. We are praying about the grace of God. He will end well and very strong because He has been the Father. He has been somebody that the Lord is using for everyone now in the state.
Using the acronym BOLD, Dr. Taiwo charges members of staff to remain committed to their responsibilities.
This year, because we've done well last year, but your well is not enough. There's still room for improvement. The acronym is BOLD, B-O-L-D. we talking about? In this year, build yourself, improve yourself and everything you are doing. This year, make sure you observe everything that is going on around you. Learning is key. Because if you stop learning, you start dying. And improve discipline and determination.
The prayer session ended on a note of unity, fellowship, and renewed hope. The staff departed with optimism, strengthened commitment, and positive expectations for the year 2026. Margaret Okunlola, OGTV News.
Learners across Ogun State have been charged to be diligent and dedicated towards attaining excellence in their academic pursuits, ensuring they represent not only their schools but the ambassadors of their schools. The Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abeokuta, gave the charge while monitoring the second term resumption for the 2025-2026 academic session in Ijebu, Remo and Egba division of the state, saying since both failure and success could be achieved in installments, students should strive for success and ensure that no aspect of the session was missed out. Abeokuta reiterated that the present administration in Ogun State had invested a lot on rehabilitation and construction of classrooms, laboratories and libraries, as well as equipped them with modern facilities to ensure improved and seamless transfer of knowledge during the academic session.
I'm really satisfied about what I've seen. I've seen that schools resumed at the time we asked them to resume. In all the schools we went, the principals, the teachers, the students, all of them on ground. And there was no single school we got to today that the school environment was not clean and tidy. And that's why I commend all our principals, I commend all our teachers. And I'm happy with the students. And it's a testimony to the intervention and the investment of our governor, Principal Abeokuta, in education. So it's showing everywhere. For me, I'm quite satisfied. I'm happy about what I've seen today, and I want to wish everybody happy resumption.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mrs. Oluwatosin Oloko, enjoined learners to shun every form of social vices and unruly behaviors, rather remain focused and determined to attain greater heights of their dreams. In their separate remarks, Principals Molikba High School Junior Jebode, Mrs. Omololade Odunsi, and Itamere Comprehensive High School Senior Orijebu, Mr. Adedi Onobajo, affirmed that activities have begun fully, starting with welcome tests, which will be included in the continuous assessment of learners at the end of the term. In line with its mandate to ensure quality delivery of basic education across Ogun State, the Ogun State Central Universal Basic Education Board (SUPEB) has conducted its second term monitoring exercise in selected public primary schools. The second day monitoring exercise, which covered schools across the state, aims to assess teaching standards, the learning environment, availability of instructional materials, and overall compliance with educational policies. Tori Ogundipe has the report.
Some of the schools visited include Wesley Primary School, Ikperu Remo, Wesley Primary School 2, Shagamu, and Obafemi Awolowo Nursery and Primary School, Ikene Remo, among others. Addressing teachers during the exercise, the chairman of the Ogun State Universal Basic Education Board, Evangelist Ifede Olamilekon, said the monitoring exercise is a routine process designed to strengthen accountability and improve learning outcomes in public schools.
That the school have resumed and our teachers are on ground, the learners are on ground too. And we are out to see to the welfare of our teachers and to see that what we have asked them to put in place are in places, so that our students or our learners can be able to read and write and communicate very well. That's our vision as far as SUPEB is concerned.
Head teachers of the visited schools expressed appreciation to the board for the monitoring visit, describing it as a morale booster that encourages teachers to remain committed to their duties.
He went around the classes and he commended us in some areas, and as well there are challenges in some other areas which we are planning to put in place and correct ourselves.
That are going to improve and that are going to change, so that things will work well by next time.
Well, I'm very happy that we can now have a subject chairman that knows what it takes to run a public school.
The exercise featured inspection of classrooms, interaction with teachers and pupils, as well as evaluation of school facilities and learning resources. Amid its struggles to pay the over 4 trillion naira debt owed to power generation companies, the federal government incurred a total of 1.98 trillion naira in electricity subsidy obligations in 12 months, from October 2024 to September 2025. This was according to the quarterly reports released by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. In the fourth quarter of 2024, covering October to December, the electricity subsidy incurred by the government was 471.69 billion. It was 536.4 billion in the first quarter of 2025 and 514.35 billion in the second quarter of last year. The latest report from NERC released showed that the federal government incurred a total subsidy burden of 458.75 billion in the third quarter of 2025 as electricity tariffs remained below cost-reflective levels, making a total of 1.98 trillion naira in the 12-month period from October 2024 to September 2025. NERC stated in its report that in the absence of cost-reflective tariffs, the government undertook its cover to resultant gap between the cost-reflective and allowed tariff in the form of tariff subsidies. And on the foreign scene, all extended losses after Donald Trump said Venezuela would turn over millions of barrels to the United States, while equities were mixed after a record-breaking start to the year. Crude has been seeing wild swings since the U.S. president ordered the throttling Saturday of Nicolas Maduro, his counterpart in Caracas, and said Washington would run the country while demanding total access to its key resource. Both main contracts sank more than 1% on Wednesday, having lost 1.7 to 2.0% after Trump announced the latest development. Analysts said the shipments lowered the risk that Caracas would have to cut output owing to its limited storage capacity, easing supply concerns, but added that the outlook for the commodity was for lower prices. That comes as the crude market remains well stocked after OPEC Plus agreed to boost output. And in the world of sports, Antoine Semenyo is set to have a medical at Manchester City, with a move expected to be completed before Saturday. The Premier League giants have agreed to meet Semenyo's €65 million release clause, which must be activated by 10 of January. Semenyo is due to have his medical after Bournemouth's game against Tottenham on Wednesday evening. Despite interest from 5 clubs, including Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham City, are only the teams to successfully make formal contracts with Bournemouth for a deal. And just before we leave, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the time is always right to do what is right. And that ends Midday News. Many thanks for watching. Bye.